How y'all doing? If you like reseller content, toy content, like, subscribe, comment below. We got some monopolies to go through. And then we have plushies, and I almost never buy these. But I had to make an exception, and you're going to see why. And we're going to talk a bit about the Goodwill bins, because that's where the plushies came from. So let's dig into these monopolies. So the games we always buy for parts: Monopoly, Sorry, Game of Life, and Clue. I've talked about this a couple times before, but eBay did something called volume pricing, where if you run many multiples of items, people can buy multiples and get a discount. This has fundamentally changed the game for me. Now, I'm not the only guy that does only parts, but I'm definitely the only guy in my area because I routinely only buy these on sale. So they always sit for at least 5 weeks. You know, there are exceptions people will pick up, but that volume pricing changes this from being a $1 and $2 profit margin on some of these to like a $5 and $10 profit margin. It's huge. So, for the Monopoly, we want tokens, we want money, hotels, and houses. So why don't we just sort this on the quick? All right, so, no real surprises there, other than I fucked up. So, I went to go list this. I have 3 sets of Monopoly money. We have Vintage, which has no writing. Then I have this. This is like 80s, 90s. And then there's Modern. Modern looks like this. So I went to go add this to my stash, and I didn't have a stash, which is weird because I knew I had some. And it turns out I miscounted, and this listing had gone dead. I ran out of this back in November. So when I went to go add these 2, I found that I actually had 2 more. So got that listing back up and running. So this is the money bag variant of Monopoly. I run this as a 10 count with the money bag. And what I do is it's actually an 11 count in that box. I take the gun, and I don't have it in my listing. Normally it would be an 11 count. I do it this way. Some versions did have the money bag and not the rest of the tokens too. I keep the gun because it's the most difficult piece to find. So I can make other listings with the plethora of dogs, hats, etc. if I take those guns sometimes. I'm out of horses at the moment, but nothing I can do on that. So we got these, and then not quite enough for a hotel's housing listing. We have plenty of that at all times. So there we are. We're in the black with these 2. So let's look at the electronic banking one. All right, so we got an electronic banking. I get these all the time. These are ones I will pay a little more for, although I'm taking a risk because if you've ever watched this before, the units tend not to work. You have to fix them up sometimes. We'll go ahead and add if we got to. But other than that, hotels and houses are no good. They are the wrong color. I cannot sell them. So we had our banking unit. We have our cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Excellent. And we have our unique tokens to this game. It's a 6 count of just different stuff, a flip phone, skateboard, etc. Yeah, like I said, the hotels and houses are the wrong color. I don't fuck with them. So let's see if this unit works. Doubtful right out the gate. Feels like it might not have batteries in it, so we talk about this sometimes. This could be bad. You don't often have the ability to look at battery operated stuff like this. You know, toys in general you can. If you're trying to avoid battery blowouts, the things you don't want to see are white residue around the lid and the lid bulging. The lid's bulging, so this might be a blowout. So that doesn't mean it's broken. In fact, I could generally repair all these quite easily. I seldom don't have the ability to fix it unless it's like a soldering issue inside or, you know, other issues. So yeah, these clearly exploded. Likely clean this up and do that part of the show where I fix stuff. So you just got to be careful getting the batteries out because they get attached to that coil at the bottom. These done blew up good. These are really in here. All right. I'm just going to throw batteries in and see if anything happens. If I don't have to fix it, I ain't going to bother. If I can get it to work now, I will clean it up when I sell it. And so far, I got nothing. So, time to repair this. All right, so to fix a battery-operated toy where you had a battery blow up, you need vinegar, doesn't matter what kind, a Q-tip, a toothbrush, and a flathead screwdriver. So you got to carefully remove as much of the stuff as you can. You got to be careful on the coil. You don't want to break it. But you get under it as much as you can. And the more of this you can get out with the screwdriver, the less like sizzling and moving stuff around you need to do. And then you use a toothbrush and you brush out as much as you can. And then you do the vinegar, you just dab up your Q-tip real good. And I don't know if you'll pick that up, but it's sizzling away. You really can't hurt it with this. You know, don't throw it in there, but you could get quite a bit there. And it's eating all that residue. The acid of the vinegar reacts with the alkalinity of the battery, and they cancel each other out. Whatever the science term for that is. Turns it to base. All right. So that's one side. And then we'll apply again. So I use one side to apply, one side to clean up. This is the side that was like bad. This actually wasn't too bad. If I can't get the battery out, that's a bad one. But even so, it doesn't take a lot to fix these. You just need to restore that connection to the battery, basically. All right. So I let that sizzle for a bit. So then we just swab it out with the other side of the Q-tip. And sometimes it takes 2 applications, depending on how bad it is. Down the road, I might learn to solder. I don't think it's difficult to do. But you got to figure the time it takes to do shit like that, it's really not worth it. I'm going to make $6 on this. You know, if I'm going to spend half an hour on it, I'm not going to bother, kind of thing. All right. So that should be good. We got our batteries. I assume these are good. That would be my next step, is if it doesn't work, make sure. Yeah, those aren't firing up. Huh. Because this really doesn't look too bad. Let's see what we got. Try another 2. I'm pulling those out of toys. I don't actually know if they work. Interesting. Alright, I'll test the batteries. I'll find something else that uses those, and then might do another application on it. My batteries definitely work. Oh. Going far down the rabbit hole on this. I really shouldn't, but you know, for the sake of learning, this is a long-term project for me to do this reselling stuff, and I work with commercial dish equipment. So I had to crack it open, just kind of figure out how these things work. So we got our display up here. So the card goes in, it has ridges. And these are called micro switches. So the card goes in, and you can maybe hear, maybe not. So the ridges tell it which card is which. And it's 6 configurations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if that makes sense. So when I opened it up, we could see that there's actually corrosion down here too. Now, I threw one of these away, and I don't know, and the issue was this thing didn't work. And I had somebody return one of these for the same reason. So now I'm thinking I have to start checking micro switches, which if I find one that, you know, if this part doesn't work, I might keep it just so I can swap this out. I'm just looking at it though, and I don't know if it's going to connect to anything, because you can see this is just flat out on the screen. I think it'd just be one cohesive unit. Do I want to undo like 15 screws to make $4? I don't. But what I'm going to do is we're going to clean this guts part and see if it makes a difference. I'm not going to bother buttoning it up now, but I cleaned out the inside, and I got, it's hard to tell with the cheap camera I have, but that's all blue. I cleaned off basically as much from the inside as I did from the outside. See if it makes a difference. And it did. That was the problem. So now I put the screws in while I'm thinking of it. So I learned a skill today, right? I've never really had that happen, but maybe a couple of times, and it was the battery had exploded to the point I couldn't even get it out. Like it had, if you leave these in cold or hot conditions, like if it was in a shed that's in the elements, so it has like a, you know, negative 10 degree up to 120 degree swing, batteries will just go off year after year, just rotting, spewing bullshit. So if I got one that I can't even get the battery out, again, I'm not going to make a ton of money on this. So it's not worth it to me to invest lots of time, but, you know, picking up a skill, I can do that. That'll help me out down the road. All right, so it was blinking. Now we want to make sure it can read all the cards. So this is 2. And that's those micro switches. This is 1. So it's reading combinations. This is probably card like 5, 3, whatever. However they set it up. But it's basically telling it, I know you're this because of you've depressed these pieces at the same time. And we're testing those micro switches to make sure they work. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And on the subtraction side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I figured this was going to work. The reason being those micro switches had a nice, like, click. What it is. It's just a switch depressing. So we salvaged this unit. Let's see what they go for. All right, so interestingly, I looked at this. I looked at my old listings. The design is different. It is functionally identical. The cards are the same, but the other one was darker, and it had this was white. And I looked on the back, and they were all made the same year, 2005. And this game has been in production 2005 to 2011. So I just made a single listing so I could just sell the unit because it's functionally identical. The cards are identical. But, so 2005, 2007, they had different pieces, though. And then 2009, 2011, they went with this. And the difference is like there's a rollerblade instead of a laptop or something like that. They kept a couple of the pieces. So I brought that listing back. So we have that. The unit will sell. I was out of those again. So I put that back up. These I sold back in September. So I put a new listing up. All right, now we got our stuffies. And we're going to see why I picked those up and talk about the Goodwill bins. All right, so I don't do a lot with plush. Because when you think about it, I like to not have things cluttering up my area. And plush takes up a ton of space. This turtle, volume-wise, is the same as my entire Monopoly parts bin for one guy, for one listing. Plush gets out of control. You can push it down. It retains odors. It doesn't sell awesome. But there are things I keep an eye out for, and there are things I make exceptions for. So today I went to I alternate where I go on Sunday, because I have 4 Goodwills within striking distance of me, but 2 of them are an hour apart. So I pick one or the other, and I alternate weeks. The reason is, like I said, board games wise, I'm probably the only guy that does the parts thing. So if I alternate which one I go to, I pick up not only the tags that are on sale on Sunday for that Sunday, I pick up the ones that are on sale for last Sunday. So I save an additional $1, which when I'm flipping stuff for, $5-6 does make quite a difference. So one of the ones that I go to has the bins, and that's a regional thing where all the Goodwills, after the tag expires, are supposed to pull that stuff off the shelf, plus whatever they just didn't get to sorting, and it goes on a truck and it goes to the bins. And the bins are something that people will do like as an occupation. They will sit at these bins all day. There's snack and beverage machines, and some people, resellers, make their money on the bins. And what it is it's stuff that never sold, and you're buying it by weight at this point. And stuff is like $1, $2, $5 per pound. So clothing goes by weight, electronics by weight. Now I don't do clothing. I don't care about it. I don't want to do it. I know that's the bread and butter for many resellers. I don't want to do it. It takes up space. You get a lot of returns because people can't try things on. It's stained, it's stitching. I just don't want to. I would rather die, quite frankly, not to be dramatic, but so I go to the bins, I'll peruse them, and every once in a while I knock it out of the park. So today I went and I got there as they were rotating the bins, which is a thing. They will just kind of dump bins into other bins, put new bins out. So the people that are there all day, as soon as this happens, they all flock to the new bins, and they literally fist fight at times over shit. It's fucking wild. That's why I don't like it too, is it's very desperate. It's not something that people do because they wanna. It's something they do because they have to, and I don't like it. I don't have to. It's people in masks and gloves, like elbowing in on each other, throwing shit. It ain't for me. Anyways, enough of the bins. So while they were fighting over shit up at the back of the building, I'm going through what they've already gone through. So I was in there for not even 5 minutes. So this will start with caught my eye. Wile E. Coyote in a diaper. So first thing I did, anytime you look at branded stuff, you want stuff that's actually like legitimate, because companies can just produce this stuff. They have to get licensed, but it's not really, it's not Warner Brothers, it's not Disney, it's not whatever. It's somebody else marketing. Pokemon is a very common bootleg thing. So first thing I did is I grabbed the tag. The tag says Looney Tunes Lovables Tycho Playtime 1995. Well, shit. This is vintage. Fucked up as that is to say, as a man in his 40s. Grabbed that. What's that going to go for? Pull it up. Looney Tune. Yeah, and you got to be a little quick at the bins. You put stuff in your hand, but you're in people's way. So, my search parameter was Looney Lovables 1995. I don't care about anything when I'm looking at comp, other than, did I put in a reasonable search parameter? What are my results? 100 for sale. What is my sell through? 22. 22%. That for me isn't bad at all, because again, I'm at the bins. I'm sourcing this for under $1 at this point. And we see prices, and the prices are good for a plushie especially. And here we are, Wile E. Coyote, $20. He's in the box still. But these are going for $15, $20. I paid 50 cents for them, basically. So for me, it's not going to go flying. I'm willing to throw it in my stuffy bin, and I can get, $20 for them, basically. So I'm going to price it aggressively to get it out of here, and that aggressive price will be 15, because I paid almost nothing for them, which puts us there. Awesome. What about this guy? And I'm talking about Facebook now. We're jumping themes a lot. So I do stuff on Facebook. That's Hammersmith Reselling. I talk about what I talk about in videos. Except in the written form, I prefer writing to oration. I can do both, but so I watched a short the other day, and it was a guy talking about or showing off a tag, and I'd never seen it. So he showed off this tag. Jellycat. I'd never heard of it prior. I looked up the comps, because he was saying, for whoever priced this at whatever thrift store, thank you. And the comps were good. So I'm walking, and this is a lot of instinct, and I happen to be good at that, and I can't really explain why. This, to me, looked peculiar. It doesn't look cheap. It looks like it was made well. Like, things like this stitching. It's two-tone fabric. It's stitched together in a certain way. It has a non-child expression. We're dealing with a time when there are things made for adults that should really be for kids. You wouldn't buy this for a kid. It's not a common character. So I picked it up to see what the gig was. It felt really nice. It has a beanbag thing down here. And then I looked, Jellycat. Well, I remember from that video, these move. These have exceptional value. You ready for this? I paid $1 for it. I paid $1.80, so $1.20 if you want to call it that. 413 Jellycat turtles, retailing at $30+ dollars. This is important. 35+ shipping. 340 sold. So that's your price. You can't argue with that. That is the price for this item. 413 of this turtle sold. Timmy Turtle. 660 sold. So sell through of 150%. And mine is used. That's chill. It has the tag. It's not one of these variants here that go for $100. But you think I can't get $30 for this thing? Abso-fucking-lutely. Again, I don't like plush. I like having it around. So I'm going to list it for $25. And it's going to go missing within the day, I'm guessing. And what does it weigh? Yeah, the only thing is shipping with stuffed animals, and I'll show you how I do this in a second. 9 ounces, so we're still in the regular second tier shipping. How I ship stuffed animals is you get them in whatever plastic bag you can. This might be cruel. Get them in that plastic bag, you seal it up, and you just run tape around it. And it's going to get it to be well compressed and easier to ship. I don't need to box it. I can put it in an envelope easily if I do that. And it's going to be secure. And it's going to be light. So I'm going to ship him out. It's going to cost me like $6 to ship him. It cost me almost nothing to pick him up. And I'm going to have, call it, about there. Great pickups. Solid day. That's not all I got today, but I'm doing the other stuff for another day. So yeah, not bad at all. And we learned something from Facebook, and we brought it over and made a profit with it, right? So if you like reseller content, toy content, like, subscribe, comment below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.